I'm here today to talk about a soil health test. There's been a lot more interest in recent years by growers in their soil. They're all very good at doing the soil chemistry, doing the analysis to check for soil pH and the major nutrients, P and K. But what other aspects of soil can we look at that will give us an indication on how healthy that soil is? So the soil health test has endeavoured to encompass the soil chemistry aspect, soil biology, and the physical aspects of the soil. So through the test, we're going to take a normal W pattern soil sample across the field, but we're also going to do 3 digs. And in those digs, we're going to look at the soil profile and assess it for any structural issues. And we're also going to do a worm count, just to see how many worms that we can find in a 20 by 20 centimetre block of soil. And these are just some additional parameters that we can add in to make the soil health test. For the analysis, we can look at the pH, the P and K, and magnesium, which we would refer to as the normal routine soil test. And to that, we can also add organic matter, and this is measured through loss and ignition. And it gives us an idea of where the soil is from an organic matter point of view in relation to what it potentially can be. If you investigate on Scottish Soil's website, it will give you an idea of what the soil potentially could be for your soil type in the particular area. And depending on the lab that you send your soil to, you could add in the potential mineralizable nitrogen or a CO2 burst. Both those tests give you an indication of microbial activity in the soil. In terms of timing, post-harvest is a good time of year to do the test, or in the early spring before a crop is sown. If conditions get very dry, worms will go deeper down in the soil, so you won't get an accurate picture of the worm test. And equally, when it gets very cold during the winter, are best avoided. But if you can do it at the same time in the rotation and the same time of year, you'll start to build up a picture across the farm of your organic matter levels, your worm counts, with some level of consistency. I'm just going to dig a little bit of a trench to begin with, so as I open up an area that I can then take the block of soil out of for the worm count. A few stones, hopefully a few worms. So I've marked my spade with a permanent marker, so I've got an idea of what my 20 centimetres is, so I can go down, make the depth. The stone's getting in the way, just ease my way around that, try and remove it without making too much disturbance. So I need it about 1.5 spade widths. From a block of soil. So it's best to excavate that block of soil onto a fertilizer bag or some other kind of plastic bag, just to keep all the soil together. keep the worms together. Just check that I've taken out about the right amount, maybe a bit more off that side. Okay, so now it's just a matter of going through and seeing if we can find some worms. Just break up the soil as you go. In terms of numbers, over 9 is very good, and below 3 would be regarded as poor. Okay, so what do we have? Okay, so we've got 5 worms there. There's 4 juveniles there and 1 adult. You can see the saddle on the adult worm there. Okay, so there's a score of 5 worms. So we just tip the soil back in. So what I want to do now is the VESS, visual evaluation of soil structure. Just stop the bag from blowing away. So I'll come in from this edge because it hasn't been compressed by the spade. I'm just going to take a block of soil out and then just place it onto the bag and just see how it breaks up and falls apart. A stone there. So you can see that we have some larger clods of soil right through the profile, so that it's not, sometimes you just find the larger clods are lower down and you get a more crumb structure on the top, but see how well they break apart and break down again. I don't know if it can be picked up by the camera, but you can see the roots have gone through the clod, so the clod isn't stopping the growth. You can also see wormholes in there, but there is this particular part has been compressed, so when you break them apart you still end up with a flat face. It's not breaking into a crumb, so there is a bit of compaction in some of these clods, whereas this clod, when you break this one up, it just goes into a crumb structure. And this one, a little bit more pressure, so you can see how it's staying as a flat face, and the soil has been compressed, probably by a wheeling, possibly during establishment in the spring. They're not difficult to break apart. You can see a wormhole there. The worms are still managing to penetrate these clods. So whilst there is a little bit of compaction in this, the impact on yield and filtration of water through the soil is not likely to be high. In terms of the VESS score, I would probably give this a 2+. So we've completed our 3 digs. I've given it an overall score of a 2+ in terms of compaction, and from the worm point of view we were an average of 7 worms. So that's how to do a soil health test assessment. All there is now to do is to send the sample off to the lab. Now, because there may be a potential mineralizable nitrogen test being done on the soil, you want to get it away to the lab as quickly as you can, and if there is a delay, keep it in a cool place until you can send it.